This gives us an understanding why threat hunting is important, how threat hunting is done. So we have a robust product at our discourse, which is IBM Security QRadar EDR, which provides us with around 120 parameters, 70 plus behaviors to hunt for these malicious actors and check if your environment is protected or any activities are going on which may result into a boom or an attack. So let us go to the threat hunting page. So if you can see over here, here we specify the queries. So if you click on plus sign, it would give us all the parameters and the behaviors which any SOC analyst can hunt for. Now remember, tools gives us the ability to search granularly, but threat hunting involves an element of human intelligence also. Connecting the dots is what makes it or makes the canvas picture more clear. So what any threat hunter would do is, suppose, as we discussed about threat intel feeds. Now I am on IBM Exposed Threat Intel where we are seeing a report of an Cuba ransomware hashes, which gives us this hash and it says it has a high risk. So let's or if any of my element of my infrastructure is infected or has this presence of this hash file. So the hash that we receive from threat intel can be searched using SHA-256 and just click on search. So as I can see, I this search doesn't result or return any result. That means no endpoint in my environment which is guarded by EDR has any presence of this SHA-256 file. So think of this as a zero-day attack. In a real life scenario, suppose a new, if you know, a week ago there was a huge cyber attack disclosed in one of the most renowned company and which is still under investigation. So that report or whatever has happened till date, these intelligence or these feeds are provided or provided for all security threat intelligence providers, and we will check that okay, is this file present in my environment? Are there possibilities of these vulnerabilities being exploited in my environment also? So this is one way. Now, if you see, EDR provides us with another capabilities of filtering data based on your groups and clients. Suppose you are an MSSP provider. So you would like to check for particular environment or particular client. So that time we can reduce or filter the search based on your clients, based on particular endpoints, or based on type of events. Suppose I clear this and I want to see if there are any events present in my environment which says ransomware or which matches ransomware attack. Okay, now that's worrisome. In my environment, I have some events which says there are some files which are behaving like ransomware. So a threat hunter goes and finds out that okay, there's an endpoint PSWin10, and this yesterday, that is 13.6, at this time there's a file which is behaving like a ransomware. So from here, the analyst would get details of the file. So who was the user who had logged into the system? What was the process ID? What's the SHA-256 sum? And what was the command line being used, or what, or where that exe or that file for the matter has executed from? What were the encryption attempts made on which files? So any ransomware for that matter, its behavior is it tries to take control of your endpoint and start encrypting the file. QRadar EDR detects it then and there. It has already stopped that attack, but it has also given us an information about which file is being attempted to encrypt. Next, it will tell us about prevalence. Okay, so is this file or is this an encryption attempt made on a single endpoint or multiple endpoint? So as of now, in the prevalence tab, we can see there is one endpoint given with an IP, and it also tells us that there was an alert generated by EDR. So if you click on alert, that alert will be opened. So if you see this navigation or this information which is available at the tip of your fingers makes life of an analyst much easier, because the movement and the mapping of that events or alerts to the MITRE and attack framework gives us a more understanding of how the attack unfolded. Now let's see another scenario. Suppose, as an analyst, I want to check if there's a brute force attack happening in my environment. So you may say that, okay, these things should be automated. Of course, there are policies that are available in EDR that determines and stops the attack then and there. When I'm saying threat hunting, we are saying, or we are relying or using human intelligence also, apart from the automations that are in place, to check or to find out if at all anything rogue is happening in an environment. So to detect brute force, what would an analyst ideally do is check for any logon failed events. So let me search for account logged on or failed. So this will give us the account failed, logon failed attempts events. So if we see now for a brute force, we see here on 14, that is today, around 5:37, there's this endpoint Cabrilla which has multiple, around I guess 10 login attempts where it was failing. So this may raise an alarm to an analyst who has an idea of whole infrastructure. If at all there were alerts generated on this endpoint at the same time, and then there is again 10 logged on fail attempts, which tells us it's a telltale sign that something is going wrong in your environment. 10 attempts to log in at the same time with a slight differences. It's deliberate attempts, and then he may plot the graphs and find out what is going wrong. So this is another scenario how a threat hunting is utilized by any SOC analyst. Now, suppose some or the other time in our career, maybe if we have accessed websites which are blocked, then we have heard from our IT security team, okay, hello, what were you trying to attempt? What were you trying to access? Now, how do you think that your IT security team gets to this? How do they come to know? So, for example, today we are going to see that, okay, WinSCP is blocked in my organization. So WinSCP may be possibly used for data exfiltration. Suppose a guy is trying to move data from his organization's laptop to somewhere else. So how does a threat hunter or an security posture would look like? So a threat hunter would come to his threat hunting and try to find out, okay, is there anything with WinSCP.exe seen anywhere in my environment? Now, when I say in my environment, it means the thousands of endpoints that are connected to your Hive server. Currently, the highest number is 15,000. That's the amount of endpoint that are QRadar EDR on-prem version support. So, with threat hunting, with a single click, you get to know what or how many endpoints shows sign of usage of WinSCP. Now I have taken WinSCP as a legit application here, but it could be any malicious or not supported application in your environment. So we get to know that, okay, this is the endpoint where on 12th of June WinSCP was used. So then we catch this endpoint, check who is the user, get to that administrator and ask him, okay, what was it? What was the reason this application was executed or used in your environment? This is one of the scenario of threat hunting. Next, What I can think of one more scenario is, suppose we are trying to access BitTorrent or any other websites which are generally known to be malicious or not supported. So at that time, we would add, suppose, a signer, and as of now, I know for the fact that I have never accessed BitTorrent, so I'll not get any results. So just for our understanding, I am using something called as this. So let us see if there are events where attempt was made to access or reach out to Google. Yes, on multiple endpoints, we see Cabrilla, PSWin10, and these endpoints where there were attempts or events which were signed by Google. So this is how any threat hunter would use the threat hunting capabilities, the search parameters available at his discourse. Suppose an attack has unfolded on so and so date. We go and check for events before and after that attack. So we can search for events and events based on time, so that analyst can plot the graph of how the attack unfolded and take the corrective actions as necessary. These queries are supported in or and not operations. That means you can combine it into multiple forms, that okay, signer is Google and not the SHA-256 sum is this. So it allows us of creating logical queries, logical searches, wherein we can combine and search throughout our network or a particular client or particular endpoints. Now, that's what I had for threat hunt. Threat hunt is closely related to alert analysis, as I discussed earlier, that it is desired before the boom has occurred, and it is also done after the boom. May or may not the alarm has gone off or the alerts have generated. But if the alerts have generated, how to analyze them and how to remediate them, for that, I'll call upon my colleague Prabhu. Over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Vikram, for taking us through the threat hunting capability of QRadar EDR. Now let me share my screen. So now I will show you how QRadar EDR identify, detect, and respond to threats at the endpoint layer. So we have this Windows 11 machine with us, which has the EDR agent already installed. So for demo purpose, we have created this simple script, which when run, so this has this simple script with us, which when run can execute the calculator application. So now calculator, of course, is a genuine application, but what if an attacker hides malicious executables under the disguise of a genuine script? What if the kind of malware hidden beneath this script does not have any reputable malicious standing across any published sources, or as we call it, a zero-day attack? So if you have any other traditional antivirus solutions, that will be only able to detect and quarantine this malicious file only if it's a known one. But advanced zero-day threats can bypass any antivirus solutions very easily. But our QRadar EDR uses behavioral analysis when looking at processes running from each endpoint in the environment. So it will look out for the processes which deviate from the baseline of the functionality and alert us whenever it suspects something fishy. So now let's simulate the attack and check what do we get on the dashboard. So as you can see on the dashboard, we have notifications and alerts for the suspicious script execution. So let me open this one of these alert and see what details we are getting. So as you can see, we all know how security professionals are burdened these days with number of different security solutions. So no analyst would want to filter through 1,000 lines of logs to see through network traffic, looking for insights and identifying the exact path of what went wrong. So the perfect solution should help us understand the problem in the most effective manner so that we can respond to the problem in a most effective way. Through this alert details page, we have everything we need at our fingertips to analyze the alert so that we can make a confident assessment on whether it's malicious or benign. So this page has a breakdown of what exactly has triggered this alert, and this message is consumable and very easy to read and follow. You can here also take notes about any additional findings. In this case, Windows script host is running a suspicious script, that is test.js, from the stored location. It even goes on to explain why this trigger can be a malicious activity. Then in the behavioral tree section, it shows us sequence of events in chronological manner. So, and this is represented in a best way in this behavioral tree visualization. This behavioral tree helps us in a great way to make assessment whether an alert is malicious or benign. Now let me open up another alert which has a more prominent behavioral tree. So this one is a cross-process operation where this injector.exe file is spawning a notepad.exe file. So here, if you look at the behavioral tree, you get to see the chronological order of all the process that has been executed in the system while this attack has happened. So looking at the behavioral tree, we find majorly two different steps here. And it is very easy to identify that the circles represent the processes and this hexagons represents the behavior associated with the processes. So we also have different color codes to tell which processes are important and which should we focus during our investigation. So basically this blue represents the starting point of an attack. It's the parent of everything going wrong in your environment right now. Then we have the severity color code as well, where red will be determined as severe alert, then orange is medium and yellow is low. So here in the tree, you can see this injector.exe has spawned this notepad.exe, and this is associated with the behavior as cross-process operation. This has also been associated with executables dropped, and it shows the application from this path has dropped the executable processor.dln at this path. So after seeing this behavioral tree, now the real question comes, do you want this file to run? So maybe, well, yes, it's an in-house application, so you can certainly want to whitelist it. So when you want to whitelist this application, you can do it from the behavioral tree itself from this button, where it will allow list the process. And when the answer is no, and you want to kill this process then and there, this can also be done from the behavioral tree by this kill process button. So no matter where the user is, whether the user is in US, UK, Africa, etc., as long as the endpoint is connected to the Hive server, we are able to terminate the malware in real time. So this is the power of response in real time and effectiveness of killing the process and stopping the malware in its tracks. So after this, the next natural question is whether this artifact is seen on only a single PC, or do we have any other PCs also infected? The infrastructure artifacts automatically answer this question before you even ask it. So as Bikram was telling about it, you will go on in threat hunting and hunt the malicious actor down in the infrastructure to know where other endpoints you are seeing this artifact. But here in the alert as well, it will show you that, okay, these are the endpoints where you are seeing this alert. So you can automatically know whether this is an isolated attack or there are other endpoints affected as well. So we have this cloud analysis check as well. So if it's a known malware, it will enrich it with threat intelligence to assign a score whether it is a safe, suspicious, or infected or not. Then we have these policies which are successfully triggered by the attack, and it also lists down the MITRE attack frameworks associated with the alert. Finally, at the bottom of the page, we have all the events that have been captured in a chronological order based on timestamp from the affected endpoint. Now let me show you another alert, which is a ransomware attack. So as you know, ransomware moves very fast across the infrastructure, and as such, we need to be able to prevent this without human intervention. Because the reality is the humans will never be faster than the speed of the threat. And so we want a way where we can automatically kill the ransomware when it runs. So this way we can have the peace of mind to be secured even when the human is not on the top of it. In QRadar EDR, we have ransomware behavior protection policies that will help us to automatically detect and remediate the ransomware when there that is run. So protection policies allow us to tell the Hive what kind of behavior upon the encounter so that they can automatically stop them without any human intervention. We can see here a high severity alert that has been generated instantly when the executables displayed ransomware behavior. By looking at the behavioral tree here, we can see this .cxr file has been associated with this multiple behaviors, where here it is associated with exfiltration tactic, and if we click on the technique, it will also give you more details about what technique has been observed here. It also has been noticed that this app.cxr has dropped this executable. Then comes the important behavior, which is the reason for the alert. This is the ransomware behavior that is noticed from this file from this application, and it is trying to encrypt these three files on this location. Now look at the event section to see how fast our EDR reacts in case of a ransomware attack. We can see the moment it is detected that the process is behaving like ransomware, it got terminated. So isn't it amazing that EDR looks for the behavior rather than the signature and instantly terminates it on its own when noticing something like ransomware? So with all this, the analyst will be having a lot of contextual information where he can take a decision on whether this is a malicious attack or an benign one. Now the question is, if you are facing an actual malicious attack in real time, how can your solution, QRadar EDR, help you to contain it and take further action? We already saw in behavioral tree that we could invoke some controls from within the application detail boxes. We can also do it here in the affected endpoint section using this live response button. So through the live response console, we can directly communicate with the endpoint through the EDR dashboard, whether the endpoint is located in a faraway location. and we can execute various commands available here. So we can execute and see all the processes running on the system. And if we notice and if we want to kill certain malicious process, we can do it from selecting from here. So let me give you an example where I'm going to treat Chrome as a malicious actor, and I will want to kill it from the live response. So let me run the query again. So if I identify that, okay, I want to kill this file, kill this process from live response, I can directly kill it from here and it will be executed on this endpoint. Besides that, we have other options as well to show the services, the connections, and we can also download the malicious files to test it in sandbox, and then we can delete the file from the endpoint. Apart from that, we have this isolate button with which we can isolate the endpoint from the network. In that case, your system will not be able to communicate with the internet nor other endpoints on the same network, but it will only be able to connect with the QRadar EDR Hive brain. This is something you can use when you want to stop the lateral movement of any threat and want to contain it to that system only. So we have another option, which is the easiest and most impactful way to address and contain an alert that has been deemed as malicious. So that is the create a remediation plan option. So this one has all the information for you and lets you pick and choose which process and files you want to terminate and remove that were affiliated with the attack. So you can choose to kill and remove the file, then remove the dropped executables, then file system persistence, then registry persistence, and then you can choose to isolate the endpoint if required. And after this, the whole remediation plan will be there to help you with any such attacks in future. So with all this, we have reached the end of my demo of alert analysis and remediation. So I hope you had a great session of learning QRadar EDR with us.